No matter what you drive, where you drive, you need to have a dash camera in it. I mean, if it's used, if it's leased, if it's going to be financed, if it's going to be an EV or petrol or a diesel or a hybrid, you got to have a dash camera because you just can't trust the other drivers on the road. Dash cameras, in my opinion, there are a few necessities. And let me just talk about those real quick. So we're going to be installing this guy. Oh, yep. I'm a big Redtiger fan. I've used a lot of their different cameras, and I really like what they present, the overall customer service they have, so I keep coming back to them. Today we're going to be working with it's the VC70 if you're looking at Amazon, the ViewClear 70. Nice unit. It's a two-way dash camera. That's my first requirement. You have a dash camera, make sure you're looking at the front and the rear. Because if hit and run happens, let's say you're in a state like Pennsylvania where it's not mandatory to have a front plate, but only a rear plate, right? And someone hits you and then runs away, you're never going to see their license plate. You're not going to be able to identify them. So absolutely have a front and back dash camera. Furthermore, make sure it has features such as loop recording, Wi-Fi connectivity, although honestly that is standard. If you find a dash camera that does not offer you an app to connect your phone to download footage, walk away. They're in the past and we're in the present. Hopefully we're looking at features from the future. Now, one more thing that I'm going to say in my book is a necessity, is a requirement, is a hardwire kit. All these cameras these days, they have parking mode on them. Parking mode means that when your vehicle is parked and some inconsiderate individual would hit it or bump it, and if they want to get away, that camera's not going to allow them. It's going to be hardwired into the actual power supply of your car. The G sensor on it feels a hit, a vibration of a certain level. It turns the camera on, the camera starts recording. But to do this, you need to have at least some basic electrical knowledge. Although these days there's even options where you can get an OBD2 hardwire kit and you really don't need to be tapping into your fuses. Oh, really? Today we're going to talk about how to do it with our fuses, and we're going to be doing it on my 98 Subaru Sambar. Now I say that because the 98 Subaru Sambar is a car from Japan. Really, the fuses in there are a little bit of a mystery. I did translate the fuse box, but it didn't quite match up. So I just want to show you, if you do get a situation where it's unclear what fuse is what, more or less, how we can go about identifying and figuring out how to use a hardwired kit with fuses to power our dash camera. So anyway, enough talking about it, let's jump right into it. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we gotta figure out which path this camera is gonna run, because we want one unit in the front, looking out of the road ahead, and then we're gonna want another unit in the back. I already fitted everything up and I figured out where I want my unit to hang. I want it right here. From there, I'm gonna want my cables. There's gonna be two cables. One cable is gonna be for power, second cable is gonna be for the rear camera. My idea is that I'm gonna have the power cable running somewhere along the top. Often I like to utilize the gaskets, and then I'm gonna have it running out the back. Furthermore, I gotta figure out where my power supply is gonna be. For the power supply, I go down my fuses. My fuses are gonna be down here and all this wire mess. And again, I know that looking at this can seem intimidating, right? Having to tap in and there's all these wires. But we're going to talk about how exactly I did this. In our box, we have a little bit of everything we need. We have the instruction manual, the camera, the rear camera, spare mounts in case the one that we were using didn't go, user manual, stickers. Over here, we also have the cable, clips, adhesives, pretty much everything you need. You have a memory card in there, a pry tool. Only thing they didn't include is going to be the hardwire kit, but they do have a dedicated one for Redtiger. Now, anytime a brand has its own hardwire kit, I prefer to use that. There are going to be alternatives, but I know if it has the same brand name, all voltage consistencies, all special features, anything like that will be addressed by the manufacturer, and that makes me just feel a little bit more fuzzy inside. Now, I already jumped into the installation because I couldn't help it, and I'll be honest, holding a camera while I'm also working is ridiculously hard. The K-Truck is very small, so part of the installation is done. I'm going to show you how I did this and what path I ran for this. And again, you could be replicating this in any car. A K-Truck is much harder. When I install dash cameras for clients under newer Lexuses or Toyotas or Mazdas, whatever it may be, and there's a lot of panels that are plastic and I can hide wires behind them, way easier. So to be running our power supply, we want something like this. This is called a test light. Test light is going to be a very simple tool, but super beneficial. All it's going to do is test for you where you have power. So this little clip, we're going to connect to anything that is ground, anything that is metal. Personally, this is the part that on the K-Truck is really easy because we do have a lot of exposed metal. I'm going to go with this part right here on my door jamb because there's no paint on it. Now, the light is not lighting up. What's going to happen is when I touch something that has power, I'm going to see a little bit of a light come on the inside. Now, what am I going to do with this? So again, we're going to be using this to figure out where we're going to get power from the dash camera. The dash camera has two power supplies, one for constant power and one for accessories. Now, how we do that these are the fuses in here. And your fuse is going to have these little metal parts sticking out on them. All we want to do is check. So right now I don't have the key in the ignition. Car's not getting any electrical. There will be certain fuses that always get constant power for different systems. And put the spiky tip right on where you have the tooth. If we find a fuse where the light lights up, that means it's getting power. That's going to be our constant power. So wherever it says constant or BAT, that's one of the fuses you want to go with. The other ones, you see I'm touching them and it doesn't come on. Now, we want to take our keys and we're just going to turn on accessories. We're not going to crank the car up, but we're going to see that all our dash lights come on. Excellent. And now with that on, we already took note of which one gave us constant power. We come back to our fuses. So now we know where our constant power is, our BAT. We got to find where our ACC, accessory power, is. Again, we get our probe out. When you're looking at your fuse, we're going to take and we're going to just test the other fuses. As you see, now that we have our accessories, our auxiliary light on, they are coming on. So now we know which ones are going to be for constant. Constant was this 10 amp over here, and the auxiliary ones are the ones below. Once we have that established, all we want to do is pull out one of the fuses. Then we're going to have an opening, and we're going to want to put it into the fuse splitter that we have. And we are adding in our fuse tap. This is what it looks like. Your old fuse, one that you pulled out, is going to go closer towards the teeth, and it's usually going to be a little bit higher rated. So you see mine is a 20 amp, and for the dash camera is going to be the 15 amp. So this way is going to make sure that whatever that circuit was, that circuit still stays functional. We want to get them both in there, and now we just want to put this guy back where we took that fuse out of. So now I'm going to snake over here and stick him in. I've done the same up here for the accessory. And again, we see higher numbers usually on the inside. That's going to be the original circuit. And then the lower number is going to be for the dash camera function. All right, now those guys I took and I just connect them with a zip tie. This is our yellow wire. This is our B+, that's our battery. The red one is going to be for our ACC. I don't know if you can see that labeled on there, ACC accessories. So now we have those squared away. Using the pry tool that they gave us, not using the pry tool that they gave us because honestly we don't need more. I have a professional set, but I always find that these guys are more than enough. We're going to start just feeding our power cable in. You can already see a little bit of my power cable sneaking out here. Now all I did was I pried this up just like that, and I fed the cable behind it. I have the cable running all the way down here, going beneath this handle out here, and we see it snake out a little bit here. And on the top, cable just comes up, it disappears behind this metal piece. And again, on the K-Truck, this is a little bit more difficult. Modern cars have plastic panels, and we have a lot of places that we can hide wires. K-Trucks is significantly harder. And then I have my power cable come out here. I kind of hide it behind my visor. And here's my actual dash cam. And I can just take and pop it in just like that. Now I want to just test that it works. Before I go and fully hide everything, make sure that you connected the power correctly. So now, if I hit the power, I don't know if you could hear that, you can see that. I see that the dash camera does come on. That's great. Now we can even try it for a little bit more and take off the cover. Oh yeah, beautiful. All right, so we know that the power supply that we connected does work properly. That is excellent. That already takes a lot of this out of the question. So now that we have our power run, we also want to do the same thing for our rear camera. The truck, again, it's a little bit unique, but the way that I ran my rear camera, I started by hiding underneath this panel. After I hid behind the panel, I went all along this metal sort of trim piece, or I don't know what we're going to call this, body. I have it hidden. And then here, you see it sneak out. It goes all the way down. And then I drilled a little bit of a hole in the back of the cab. So right there, just barely big enough to squeeze out the USB-A. In my truck, I have this black mat. So I'm running the cable all along the mat. So then I have the cable running all the way back. We can see it running here. Boom. and the cable sneaks in. This is actually kind of like my hood in the truck. The truck has an engine in the rear wheel drive JDM, gotta love it, and it sneaks into the engine bay. And usually just on a regular sedan, SUV, whatever it may be, it's a lot easier to do this. It goes by where the license plate is, or it goes on inside where your actual rear windshield is. But with a truck, we had to go down, and then it comes out, and I positioned my camera right here. Not ideal with this tooth, but I kind of jerry-rigged it. I made a little support out of this thing, and the camera's in there. I had to align it. Now, the disadvantages of having the camera on the outside versus the inside. Let's talk about that, right? Because, again, if I had an SUV and I've installed it on many an SUV, the advantage of having it on the inside where the rear windshield would be is that it's not going to be subject to the elements. No rain, no salt, no dirt, no dust. Advantage of having it just hanging off the rear at pretty much the farthest point is that you're going to have the closest sense of perception to whatever you're backing up to or whatever you're looking at. Coming back up front, we have our rear camera position and run. We're going to plug that in. I have my power also plugged in. Boom. Camera did a little bit of an update, and there we go. That's what we installed in the rear. This is our front view. I do love the clarity on this thing, and that's honestly one of the reasons that I went for the VC70 clear view. Here, just totally reads true. It's a touchscreen, also makes it very easy to switch back and forth. I can hit this, and it goes between the front and the rear. If I want to be going into any of the settings, I love touchscreens, honestly. I got sick of using buttons. I can go into the settings. I can be looking at the loop recording times. I can be looking at how I have it split between front and rear, GPS, date stamp, Wi-Fi connectivity. Because again, that's one of the things that I love the most. If I turn on the Wi-Fi, boom. So I hit the Wi-Fi on my phone. Wi-Fi is coming on. Right away, it saw that there was a new Redtiger unit. This is their app. Honestly, that's why I love Redtiger 2. The app looks really good. There's a really nice professional look to it and a finish, which makes it very easy to understand what I'm doing when I'm taking footage off. So now let's see, I had the F17 before. Okay, here we go. The Redtiger VC70. This is what it's gonna look like, but let's say is that I wanna actually view it from my phone. You can, I rarely do this, but I can just get the same footage. I have GPS location on it, so God forbid anything does happen, I need to take footage off. I have the GPS information to support it in case the police can't come out to make a report. The app is also very convenient. I can hit mirror, it goes, switches. Oh, okay, no, mirror just switches the sides. But if I do switch there, it switches to the rear, and now I can see the rear. All right, and let's say that I don't want to be watching just live footage. I actually want to see what went on. I can go into the actual storage of it. Now, apologies, I'm holding with one hand the camera, the other one the phone. But anyway, if I go in here, I have 3 different categories. One is for video, that's your regular looping footage. The other one is snapshot in case you want to take a picture. On this camera, it's very easy. See that red button? You hit that red button, it's going to just snap a picture for you in case there's something really iconic you want to catch. I don't know. And then you have this urgent folder. The urgent folder is going to be when the G sensor goes off. So in case your car does get hit while you're not at it, the footage is going to be an urgent. Same thing, if there's an accident, you brake hard, you go over a bump that is a pothole to the next dimension, it's going to be an urgent. And you can also calibrate that with your G setting in the actual camera, or if you want, through the settings. So in case you don't want to be working with the touch screen, personally, I don't mind. I think their screen is pretty big. I can also go into the settings here on the back end and be setting up whatever I want. If I just turn off Wi-Fi on my phone, it automatically goes back to recording, which is brilliant. That I really like. So I do like what I'm seeing with the VC70. Overall, also looks quite clean. Let's just take a look at what it looks like from the front. Nice. All right. It lets people know that there is a dash camera here, but at the same time, it is not overwhelmingly large. The mirror is so small and bite-sized, I keep it in the sort of slanted position. Gives me somewhat of a view, better than none. Nice big lens on it, and gives me peace of mind and protection. While I'm driving or while I'm parked, I know if anything happens, I have the documentation to back it up. And that's a wrap. Really not that hard. Easy for me to say. I've done quite a few dash camera installs. I even just update my cars with newer dash cameras because I love staying on top of this and seeing what the new features are, how they test. In the end, everything was nice and clean. I'm sure you can see it. There's my VC70 just heading up there. If you are doing your own dash camera install, don't be intimidated. Hopefully this instruction will help you a bit. You have questions, please feel free to drop a comment. Last thing I like to see is a nice car and then a whole bunch of wires or wire leaning out the side. You've seen these dash camera installs, just I don't know, unfortunate. It takes away from the aesthetic. One of the advantages of the dash camera is that you just kind of have a nice little sentinel that's always watching for you. You'd be surprised how many people are going to be deterred from doing a hit and run if they know that you're always recording. Hope you found this helpful. Stay safe on the road. If you do have any questions, please don't be shy. Drop them in the comments. Thank you for watching.